Thank you everyone for coming and for getting together this early in the morning. Before we start, I want to say a big thank you to Rob Handy. He says he has a team behind him, and he does have a small team behind him, but honestly, he puts an awful lot of work into putting these events on and into growing this group. So, before we get started, I want to have a big round of applause for Rob Handy. So all the miles he puts in, getting people to these events, he makes it look fairly easy, but it is hard work. I don't know if Hayley is in the room as well, but when I say he has a small team behind him, Hayley is his right-hand woman. So a round of applause for Hayley too, and buy her a drink later. Love recruitment and paying for it. So, listen, as far as the conference goes, one of the best turnouts I've seen, particularly from delegates. You really know you've made it when you've got barista coffee in the conference, though. So that's the big upgrade that Rob's gone for this year. So good news on that. So I'm Guy Griffiths. My company is GG Fit. We're actually, it seems like I've been in the industry forever, but it's 15 years next year that GG Fit has been helping clubs to get their members to stick around longer. So running retention analysis, workshops, strategy sessions, and sending member comms. Let me move on to that, because that reminds me to talk about, in terms of GG Fit, I like talking about health seekers as well. I've talked about that at a couple of conferences in the past. But we work with chains and franchises, but we love working with independents because you know your members better. You're closer to your members. Your members are closer to you as well. So you really care about your members and they care about you. So that's the difference, that one of the reasons I love working with independent gyms. I also co-founded The Collective, which is a network, a similar network to this, of fitness industry professionals whose purpose is to share, collaborate and grow. And we have live stream roundtables, Ask the Expert sessions, and we produce the Your Dream Gym podcast. So have a listen to Your Dream Gym. There's more podcasts coming out in 2023, but there's quite a few podcast guests in the room. Steve Orton, Glenn Thurgood, Andy Smith, I think Chris Sharman's here, Rob Handy. You can hear about Rob Handy's Dream Gym on that podcast. And Series 4 will include Simon Wilkinson from Tanita. Someone called Rachel Young is going to be on it as well, telling you all about her Dream Gym. It's all about bringing people together, which is what I think today is about as well. This independent gym owners network is really important, really powerful. And yes, the suppliers are important. Do please go and buy some Blaze Pods and some MyZones and things like that, because that's honestly what pays for the conference. But the real value of events like this is it's in this room. It's the gym owners, okay? So take this opportunity not to, where are NR Fitness? Are NR Fitness here? Yeah, normally grouped on this table at the front. It's brilliant that you bring everyone along, but split up and meet other gym owners would be my advice, okay? The value is being curious about what the other gym owner on your table or over a coffee or over lunch is doing. They might be very similar to you, they might be completely different to you, but you will learn stuff from each other. And that's why we're doing the panel debate at the start, is so you get ideas and go, well, that's a bit crazy, or that's a brilliant idea. Have you thought about doing that at your club? So be curious today. Sure, go and buy stuff from the suppliers, get some new protein bar deals, insurance, whatever else. That's important. But talk to each other and use the network today to connect over a beer, over a coffee, over lunch, or over the internet on a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or a chat. It's great for selling kit and for finding out about PT contracts and things like that. But honestly, the value in the room is all you gym owners, I believe. So, with that in mind, I want to bring together 3 different gym owners, operators who are doing things differently. So I'm going to invite them all up to the stage, then we'll have 5-10 minutes chat with each of them, and then questions from you guys. Okay? So first of all, Rick Anderson is the ops manager from Beckwith Health Club. And he is here somewhere. Come on up, Rick. And today, Rick is backed up by Mark Silver. So if there's any questions Rick can't answer, he might defer them to Mark. If Rick is so busy afterwards answering lots of questions, then chat to Mark, who was on the same table as in there. Mark is the gym owner, but Rick does the work. Neil Fell from 1PT, an award-winning gym in Rochdale. So gym owner Neil Fell. And then finally, to keep things moving along, Alexa Passingham, the lead coach from the training shed, who has brought her own cheerleader team with her. Good work. So I'm going to go over here and hopefully find another microphone now. But it's about getting my steps in, basically. But I'm going to bring the clicker. So hopefully this one works. Testing. There we go. I can hide a little bit more now. So like I said, 10 minutes each, and the idea of this is to give you guys some ideas to talk about, to think about throughout the day. Questions at the end. We're going to jump straight into Beckwith Health Club. A couple of pictures. This is what it looks like. If you want to get up to Harrogate and have a great workout, then I can thoroughly recommend it. Good for events as well. And in terms of what Beckwith do, just to give you, kind of set the scene, see if it is like your club or if it's like another club. A community health club, been open for 20 years. 1,000 members, not pre-COVID, pre-Pure Gym. Okay, so Pure Gym opened. I'm sure a few of you have experienced this kind of thing. In 2016, dropped down to 750 members due to Pure, basically. But the recovery, when they reopened after COVID with 380 members, they've gone up to 700. Okay? And we'll talk about, the ways they did that with Rick. But the three kind of key points are simple contracts. So there's contracts, there is one membership that you can buy. Staff are absolutely key to the journey. So some clubs, when Pure or Gym Group or someone else comes in, will drop the level of service and say, we're going to reduce staff, we're going to go for a low staff model. That's not the case, absolutely not. And finally, eGym, who happen to be an exhibitor as well. We'll get into a little bit about how the eGym circuit helps, okay? So, Rick, hopefully your mic's on. Talk to us a little bit about the simple pricing model. Something you've developed since lockdown?
Yeah, we kind of developed it a little bit before lockdown. Ultimately, when Pure Gym opened, we used to have various different corporate rates and discounts available. And when Pure Gym opened, we kind of reviewed our pricing and then just went to that one price. So that is all we offer now. Much to other people's kind of questions sometimes, but it seems to work for us now.
So there's basically one choice, join or don't join, which some people would be like, okay, but from
take it or leave it.
Yeah, literally, if you're interested, join. If not,
yeah. I think for us it makes it much more upfront, honest. We're not kind of having different rates for different people, different companies, and to be able to kind of say to people, yeah, it's a kind of upfront, honest price. There you go.
Mm-hmm. And it's gone up quite a bit since 2016.
In terms of price?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're now on $35.99, so we're still kind of the lower end of the market for Harrogate, but we feel it's kind of still that good value for money, which a lot of people recognise.
And tell us as well about junior memberships. What would a junior membership be, do you think?
Yeah, so we have a teen academy or teen gym membership, and it's the same price. They get restricted access, so they can only access the club 2:30 till 5:30, Monday to Friday. But the reason we have that price is because actually, rather than just saying, there you go, you're a teen member, knock yourself out, go and train, we actually take them through a teen academy. So they learn decent etiquette in the gym, how to train properly, how to lift properly, good posture. So that kind of justifies the price because we're using a personal trainer that delivers that class for them.
So it's not safeguarding in the same sense of under 10s rugby, which is what I think of as safeguarding, but you are looking after the kids and bringing them up to the right place.
Yeah,
right?
It's not quite kindergarten, but it's they still need supervising. They're teenagers at the end of the day, so we have a duty of care to them and to their family. And I think when the parents who are ultimately paying that $35.99, I think when they realise that, they're quite impressed.
Cool. And you don't need to worry about when they get to 18, oh, I'm going to have to put your price up now.
No.
Simple.
Yeah.
Love it. So I wish more, the number of clubs, I guess probably a little bit more local authority. It's like, what's the price? Well, it depends. And then you look through the front of house system at 200 different, or even 1,000 different prices for 1,000 members, right? So nice and simple admin. And you talked about staff interactions as well. That's really key to the success and the retention. So what kind of interactions are we talking typically?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, the staff for us is really important. We don't have a big team. There's only 5 of us for 700 odd members. But that is key to the business. I mean, it's that kind of engagement. We know members by name. We keep that kind of community feel for them. We have a good kind of conversation with them every time they're in, ask them how the training's going. We offer free programs, inductions, etc. But it's that kind of touch point with the members that is going to retain them, as well as just their own workouts.
And then, it's kind of contrary to that, but obviously a leading question, and I probably should confess that I use eGym all the time, but a lot of people and a lot of the industry see eGym as an instructor replacement. So it clearly isn't, because 75% of your members, and that's of all of your members, not just new members, 3/4 of them have done an eGym induction. Yeah, absolutely. So we introduced eGym in February this year, just after the back of lockdown, and it was a big investment at the time for the business, but it was kind of crucial to kind of bring something new into the club, into the facilities, and also to be able to market to the wider audience, what else we offer at the gym. It definitely doesn't replace instructors. If anything, it enhances. So as you say, 75% of our members have all had an eGym induction. Our usage and uptake is kind of growing all the time. Initially, some of our existing members were a bit like wary of it, a bit kind of unsure. But as they've started to see new members come on board and get inducted and really kind of take that kind of eGym on board, they're kind of migrating across as well. So it's and then as far as the staff are concerned, even although eGym is kind of self-sufficient, you still need that staff engagement. You obviously need the induction to take them through it. And then when they've done their kind of basic section and they want to progress onto a different training model, then the staff can kind of interact with them, find out exactly what they want to do with their training, and then kind of advise them on the right kind of training module to be on. So it's basically an excuse to have more interactions,
Absolutely.
but for the people that know what they're doing can kind of crack on.
Yeah, definitely.
And the ones that know what they're doing probably aren't going anywhere. Paul can pick this up later. But particularly for the new members that are coming in, or for people that are unsure, they can get more help, more interaction, and instructors can recognise that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
Cool. Okay, right. So we'll move along then. Any questions you have, please write them down, save them. We will come back to you at the end. So we'll have a chat about award-winning gym, 1PT in Rochdale.
Hi guys. Yeah, thanks very much for inviting me today, and a big thanks to Rob for organising the event. As you said, it's bigger than last year, and it's fantastic to see so many people in the room. You say award-winning, UK Active Awards 2019 and 2021, so effectively 2 years on the bounce as National Club of the Year, and it's a great honour. Yeah,
so an amazing site in Rochdale. Do go and visit if you want. This is what it looks like on the photos, but obviously you've got to experience it in real life.
Don't look at the outside, although if you look on our Facebook page, you'll see the outside pictures of what it used to look like.
Okay, yeah, but it's good to know you've arrived when you get there. That's the outside of a club can be useful as well. So just look, kind of background stuff. 1PT, what does it mean? It's one PT session with every member every month. So we've gone from interactions to interactions, clearly a running theme. And 210 members in 2020, only opened in 2018, but went, in terms of the recovery stats, so what does this year look like? It's not been normal. Guess what? I don't think we're going back to normal. But in terms of recovery, gone to 250 members. That is with a price increase as well. So we chatted about that on the panel at the last event. Price increases and energy costs and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with putting prices up. So we'll get on to that. In terms of returning members, a big focus on safety, the member needs, and then a little bit of tech coming in, talking about EMS and bringing in MIHA body tech EMS. But all this, even with the price increases, with these kind of things that Neil's doing differently, there's been a 40% in additional PT. So just, Neil, tell us about the reopening safety and how critical that was to get members back.
I think everyone was concerned, weren't they, about reopening, and everyone was frightened you were going to be shut down again in about 3 or 4 weeks. Classes couldn't start straight away. So I think for us, we'd always, like Rick said, you've got to be member focused. And I come from more of a strength and conditioning and sports science background. So for me, 1PT was always about a training ground culture. Somebody coming in and feeling as though if you were walking into Liverpool, Man United, or any big club, the focus is on the players and member-centric approach. It's not about the egos of the PTs. We advertise ourselves, not kiss the guns and all that. It's about the member coming in. That's our big focus. And are they going to be safe? And people had always asked us, how busy is your club? I've been to big gyms. I worked for Total Fitness in its infancy when you had 14,000 members in one club. They were railroads, absolute train stations. And I think these days it's about people who want to invest in the health. So they want me to... So a big shout out to Wayne Heath and Club Right and the use of the Club Right app. And we've all got... So a wristband, so a 1PT wristband, you scan in, so you see how busy the club is. And
So if you're not at the club, but you're thinking of going to the club at 10 o'clock in the morning?
You pick out your phone. And so in terms of showing somebody around the club and somebody says, how busy is your club? Don't just say, oh, we can tell you how busy the club is. You get out your phone, you dial into the Club Right app, you show them, you click on, this is how busy that the club is at that particular time. And even now, people, even though we're out of the worst of the pandemic, people are still asking how busy you are, what are your peak times? And I think because of the size of our facility, it's 5,000 square foot. So we were told you can have one person per 100 square foot, 50 people within your reception area, within your changing rooms, your cafe, whatever. We've never had 50 people in the club at the busiest times anyway. It might be 20, 25 if there's a class on. But at least you can reassure that person. People's working times are different now, aren't they? They're working from home a lot more. So even though we've got more members than we've ever had, at the peak times, 5, 6 o'clock, traditionally peak times, we're not as busy. We've introduced new classes. We've spread the time at which those classes are on. But people can then see, people will ask, is your gym still able to be used when the class is on? Yes, it is. And so it's explaining all that to our members.
And that 50 limit is, whether that's the authority saying 50 for your size, it's also member preference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone might be, if there's more than 30 people in there, that's too busy for me. But they can check and they can set their own limits on it. Other people might go, I'm happy if there's 51 and be the 51st. But so yeah. And in terms of member needs, what was so you put MyZone in, and you put these programs and more nutrition in. What was the thought process or kind of strategy for that as you came through this year?
I think the whole philosophy about 1PT is that fitness is a journey, not a destination. It's about making, everyone will ask, do I get a diet plan? Get lost with you, do you get a diet plan? It's about educating people, about making behavioural changes, everything about retention, whether it's yourself or Paul will be talking about behavioural change. That's what we focus on. You train for the Olympics, you don't do it in 4 weeks, you do it in 4 years. So it's about educating people along that journey. However, and it's a big however, some people want a definitive timescale. So by introducing a 13-week challenge program, gives somebody an end point, but of the 20-odd members who sign up on a challenge program, they still have unlimited gym access, and 90-odd% of them carry on with either a membership or they just keep redoing the challenge because we update it, we improve it. The reason that people don't carry on is because they've moved out of the area. It's not as though that they've fallen out of love with 1PT. They can carry on with a standard membership.
Sure. And tell us about what EMS means for your members, and also, again, a little bit your journey with that in terms of bringing in, Is it about new members? We see that there's quite a big take up for existing members.
I think for me, and it's the one beauty about 1PT is that I don't like using the expression, but I can't think of another one at this time. We're not a one-trick pony. That it's about our demographics. That we have a dad joins who just needs to be more mobile. His son joins because he wants to put on a little bit of lean muscle mass. So we're not just one type of fitness, and have never ever wanted to be. From that S&C background, you don't just go on a course and then fall in love with that type of training and that's all that you do forever and a day. You cherry pick what's out there in the industry and you make it right for your membership. So I've been exposed through my PhD many years ago and scientific training, working with physios. EMS has a place, and it has a place for people perhaps. You know that to get more muscle recruitment, you've got to go heavy, you've got to go more intense. But for our demographic, you couldn't always do that. A number of my clients, you've got to be so careful in how much that they can lift, what intensity. So I just thought that electrical muscle stimulation training, everyone, the biggest objection, I haven't got time. So one strength session, 20 to 30 minutes, you come, you do your session, it's very operationally efficient. As a programmer, yes, we have to be trained, more qualified, risk assess, etc. But with that 20-minute session, you've got your card, you pop it on, you know what intensity that they are working at, so they can come in. So it's hopefully taking that objection away. But you mentioned to it that the majority of the people who take up EMS with us are members, and it's not to substitute what they're already doing. It's an addition. It's a supplementary to the training to actually feel as though they're getting more investment in their own health. So,
which is also more investment in you. When it comes down to the bottom line, they are, they're buying those sessions, which is, and PT is, you've put, as well as the membership prices going up, PT prices have gone up as well, right?
Yeah, to answer your first question, we wanted to, when we came back, re-establish the model, the 1PT brand, and what we stand for with our philosophies. And therefore, we wanted to make sure that we added in My Zone because we thought that that was of added value. The reason we added My Zone is that, unfortunately, during lockdown, a local facility to us shut. And a lot of the members that went there used My Zone. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I have my opinions, but they were so focused on getting in the red zone. It was an obsession to get in the red zone and work eyeballs out. Now, as a sports scientist, you can't train people maximally all the time. So we thought they'd been a fantastic community environment. So we thought by having My Zone would provide them, because a lot of their members did come and join us, provide some familiarity, that My Zone comfort community. But also at the same opportunity, educate people, include some strength work, some low intensity. It's a forgotten thing in the industry to do low intensity steady state training. It's the baseline for a lot of sports. Moderate intensity conditioning doesn't just have to be a steady state run, incorporate some 30-30 second, doesn't always have to be 40-20, 20-10, bollocks in somebody, sorry for my language, cut that bit out. But it's educating people on their fitness journey. And John, my business partner, to give him some credit as well, because he's fantastic, he's a bit more tech savvy than me, the challenges, although the over 40s versus the under 30s, the over 40s, we smashed them.
Of course.
Of course we do. But it's to provide that, like Rick said, it's a providing that environment. Anyone can put the best kitting in the world, anyone can put fancy paint on the walls and lighting. It's community, and focus on your members.
A shout out back to Rachel Young about putting funky paint on the walls. Listen to her Your Dream Gym podcast.
But to finally answer your question, we did not put the prices up till this year.
Okay.
So May of this year, we'd been reopened effectively a year. We put the prices up, and this was a big thing that John and I looked at within the Independent Gym Owners Group, and thanks for everyone who was sort of like putting these questions out there. It was really good to see everyone's opinion. We put the price up by 10% for existing members because of their loyalty, but they understood why we were putting the prices up. But for anyone new joining, it went by 20%, and we've never, because we explain it, when somebody comes to join, it's not online, it's face-to-face. And we explain what's included, the value of an inclusive PT session each and every month, the support, the interaction through the training app, through the chat feature within the training app, communicating like you doing, Rick. Once a week, if you've not seen or heard from your client, drop them a little chat message. But personalise that chat message, put, "Hi Neil, how are you getting on? How's your Achilles for your marathon that you're going to be running?" It's personalised, not just, "Where are you?" And so we put the prices up in May for the membership, and then on the 1st of October this year, we put the PT price up by 10%. I'd have put it up 20, John ruled, and we went 10, because members, we appreciate we're in a double-digit recession. You can't do inflation. You can't just keep whacking it up. And we hadn't put PT prices up in 5 years, and probably the value should be 20%, but you've got to then think, we've launched EMS, we've put prices up in the kitchen, we've become more savvy in the offering within the kitchen, so we're not throwing the stuff away. So you can't always sort of have your cake and eat it. You've got to look after your members, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And so, two things there. First of all, if you can't catch Neil afterwards because there's such a big queue wanting to talk to him, then ask John. But he'll tell you not to put your prices up quite so much. But also, just to reiterate what I was saying earlier, but an actual case study, if you like, of the power of the group. So, use each other, talk to each other. That's the real value in this room, okay? But moving on, thank you very much, Neil. Moving on to the training shed and Alexa, just here's what the training shed in St Ives looks like. I didn't put the photo of me and Alexa out the training shed in St Ives up there because it was just using my standard selfie stick and it wasn't, I think I had my eyes shut. But in terms of what the training shed does, there were 4 facilities pre-lockdown, around about 800 members each, although the 4th, which is the main one we're going to talk about, the one you just saw, actually opened in March 2020. Good timing, huh? However, it has gone from 0 members to 450 this year. And it's coach-led training, focusing on wellness. There is a theme running across. It's almost like we planned this. So we're going to probably talk a little bit about MyZone again, but also about corporate memberships and the things that changed through lockdown. Again, there's definitely a link there with MyZone, but incredible to see at the corporate sites Alexa's going to tell us about, 85% engagement. Normally, if you put a corporate gym or well-being program, you'll attract 15, 20%, the usual kind of people that like going to a gym, 15%, right? 85% of people inducted into that facility, and yeah, we'll talk a bit about the wellbeing score as well if you've not heard about it already. We won't dwell a lot on the closed sites, Alexa, but what lessons did Training Shed learn during lockdown?
Firstly, thank you for having me. 2020 was an interesting year. We started by opening 2 more sheds, and then obviously lockdown hit, and unfortunately we did lose the 2. The 2 we have remaining are through corporate and council partnerships. It was an interesting year. But I think most importantly for us, the shed has always been about education. It's always been about, similar to these guys, it's about doing things what we consider the right way, and helping as many people as possible. So even before lockdown, we were looking at things and developing things such as the wellbeing score, and our goal really was to go beyond that 15%, like you just said. The industry looks after that 15%, but there's a whole other 85 out there. So we were already thinking about different ways we can get to those. And like I said, through corporate is a great example, been really successful. As you said, one of the biggest issues in people coming to a facility is time, and another one is money. And if you can deliver it in corporate, you solve essentially both of those. They're at the place of work, they're there 8 hours a day, there's no commute to get to the gym afterwards, and also working with the company, they're supporting their employees, and obviously covering costs of having the facility on site and things like that. So we were looking to expand into that 85% and work out how we can help more people.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, who's heard of a Cushnet? Okay, who's heard of Titleist or FootJoy? It's basically, so Titleist and FootJoy, a Cushnet is basically them. So it's a golf brand. So there is already a bit of, or you'd like to think that there's a bit of sport fitness within those offices, but they're marketing people and salespeople, and so to have that gym in that office, effectively,
Yeah.
is a brilliant facility for them, and they're really enjoying it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got your people that go out and play golf every day, but you've got people there that don't play golf or aren't engaged in the sport side of things, even though they work for a sporting company. But yeah, within Acushnet, we have our My Zone classes that run all day, every day sort of thing. We engage people through the use of that. But then we've also, when we go in and visit and have days there, we take a sports therapist with us. So people that are sat at the desk all day, get a quick massage or something at lunchtime, help them with the niggles. But we also run things like This Girl Can and programs within there to help as much of the workforce as possible. And yeah, the engagement we've seen within corporate is doing what we set out to do, far above that 15%.
Yeah, amazing. And just tell us a little bit as well about the My Zone, because I don't want to take people back into lockdown, because I don't really know anyone who enjoyed it. But the My Zone workouts and the online stuff that was going on, that is now still going on, that's been quite a big learning process as well, I think. Yeah,
definitely. I think they have My Zone within the facility. So again, we opened Acushnet 2 months before lockdown. So having the My Zone belts and the My Zone app throughout lockdown, we were able to keep that engagement with them. And just in a corporate environment as well. The challenges, as you were talking about, work so well because they know each other. They can walk around the office and tell the person that they've got more MEPs or they did a workout last night, so they're now ahead of them in the leader group. So the corporate environment and the more working for the same company just adds to that friendly competitiveness.
So communities, everyone talks a lot about communities, and clearly you've already got a community in the workplace, but you're building extra links and connections for those people. Not necessarily picking up heavy stuff and putting it down again, although that's good as well. Yeah. But it's just getting people more active and more well. Yeah,
and we know the great thing about My Zone is it levels the playing field for everyone with one. So, in a corporate environment, again, that's brilliant.
And what Neil was saying, we're not trying to get, some people are trying to get everyone in the red zone all the time. That's cool as well. But it's about educating them and telling them what they're doing right.
And we definitely think about that in the challenges we set. There might be some months where we focus on red zone MEPs, and you might get some people topping the leaderboard, but then the next one might cut out the red and yellow zone. And it might be lower intensity, so you're getting different winners of those challenges to make it, again, appropriate for as many people as possible.
Cool. And tell the people what the wellbeing score, what's it for? What's the kind of...
So the wellbeing score is something we created back before lockdown. Essentially, we were there looking at our induction process and how we can get as much information about the individual as coaches. We wanted to know as much as we could about that individual as quick as possible. So me and Glenn sat in the office for maybe 10 minutes, throwing ideas in the hat. But what that has then progressed and resulted in is the wellbeing score, which is nice and simply a 20-point assessment covering health, nutrition and movement, and it essentially is a conversation starter. So I've done it with yourself, I've done it with quite a few people in this room, and just those 20 simple questions leads into so much information about the individual, what they want to get out of it, their current habits. The wellbeing score has been a great tool that, again, we saw, since after creating it, learn about the opportunity within the industry to create these standards, and that there's no recognised standard of well-being. So having a score, having a measure that can do that, the wellbeing score has been brilliant for us across all areas of what we do.
So it's helping inductions, but it's also not all about the gym, as you say. It's movement and nutrition. And so the three: movement, nutrition
and health.
So it's much more kind of all-encompassing, but super simple yes/no answers for the questions. But it gives people a score that you can then talk about and get back into that education.
Yeah, essentially it's the fundamentals. So thinking about the performance pyramid, where it's well-being, health, fitness, performance, it really covers that well-being side of it. So you've got things like there, can you touch your toes? Do you eat 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, which is applicable to every single person. So whether you've got someone coming into a facility or you're in corporate or whichever environment you're in, these are the things that if they are completed by everyone, they're going to be in a better position to get more out of their training or get more out of their work. So yeah, very much covering the fundamentals.
And the corporate environment's important, but anyone can use it, right? It's basically, it's not bringing people into a gym, which is what I personally love about it. It's giving people a kind of a score on their well-being, and then they can go off and do a park run, but of course you can support them. Or, clubs can then support them with that, but they don't necessarily have to come in and run on treadmills or pick up kettlebells.
No, definitely not. I think, our mission is for everyone to have a wellbeing score and to understand their wellbeing because, again, we've said about it on here, the education is so important. So a lot of the wellbeing score is based on NHS guidelines. It's based on fundamental things that people might have heard of, 10,000 steps, 5 fruit and veg, things like that. And it just starts that wellbeing conversation. So our mission is for everyone to have a wellbeing score. And ideally, everyone's passed the wellbeing score, which is you're 19 or 20 out of 20, which sounds like it's a lot, but it's not. They're things that we believe every human should be doing.
So it takes about 2 minutes, so check it out.
2 to 5.
You can do it now if you want, or you can ask some questions now if you want. So if you've got some questions, start to get ready, pop your hand up. I'm just going to ask what each of you is most excited about for 2023. We'll skip the biggest challenges for the industry unless no one has got a question, which I very much doubt. But what are you most excited about, each of you, for 2023? Alexa, you've got the mic.
So I go. I think the opportunity for our industry as a whole to expand out that 15%. I think we're in a unique position, lots going on in the world. Lots of opportunity for us to stand up and have a good impact on the health, the well-being of the country as a whole. So I think, excited to see how we pivot as an industry and how we expand to help as many people as possible.
Thank you. And Neil, most excited about in 2023?
Just to reiterate that, I think everyone on here has talked about the importance of health rather than just fitness and try to really emphasise we've come out of the back of a massive pandemic, and I think a lot more people, and we've noticed it with the people that are approaching us, it is about their health, just moving more, the number of people that have been so sedentary, and it's how we market ourselves against that just traditional, as I said before, kiss the guns, body beautiful type approach. It's something that's always really irritated me. I think coming back from sport, I was a bit reticent about coming back into the health and fitness world, but I think I'm really excited about the opportunities. If I could answer your question about what are the biggest challenges, because I think there are some challenges. I think everyone in the room as an independent will be about energy and costs. And I did want to recognise and mention for Rob that being part of the Independent Gym Owners Group, in 2021, I was kicking myself because I'd missed changing the gas and electricity for that year. But through the Independent Gym Owners Group, put in touch with their energy people, and I locked our prices in for 2022 for the next 3 years before the Ukraine debacle, Ukraine conflict. So that for us is a big, but even for John and I, go through your figures, look at where your costs are. We're talking today always about membership and sales and retention. Everything from your blue roll to everything, your cleaning products, go through it line by line, learn where your costs are, every single penny in your business. I grew up working for the king of cost, Albert Goubet, who developed Total Fitness. He'd switch lights off, he'd go into a room and empty a kettle if you were boiling it for one person. I know that sounds a little bit ruthless, the Dave Whelans of this world, but to make your business profitable, you can save 100 quid here and 50 quid there, so that's a challenge. I think the second one is understand your business, and I think everyone on this stage understands who their clients are. John and I, coming out of the pandemic, were like, do we cut costs? What do we do? No, believe in your model, and don't try and fit square pegs into round holes. If that person is not right for your model, don't think that you have to change your model. Believe in it. Find the members, because our members come to us through referrals and through a Google search. PT Gyms Rochdale. They research you, they find out who you are, and they come down and you're finding the right people. So even though we've put our membership price up by 20%, there isn't really an objection because the people come to you, know what they are valued. It's back to that health thing. And I think the third challenge is, and I've read it's going to be on later this afternoon, is be adaptable. So introducing MyZone, a well-being score, your juniors. We're not, as I said before, a one-trick pony, that we've introduced EMS. Shout out to Tom and Jack who are in the room as well from 1PT. The classes that they do, we don't just, yes, I call them Ronseal classes, the strength, the conditioning, the strength and conditioning, they do what they say on the tin. Or Tom's introducing functional fitness. We can change and adapt, but there's still the sound principles and philosophies of how we want to train people. In January, we'll introduce through a contact of Tom's a boxing fit or a pad work. We can add in, take away, and move with the times. We're not just stuck with one type of training, but the basic principles of getting somebody stronger, fitter, leaner date back to Milo and lifting his calf around the field in old Greece and Italian times.
Excellent. Okay, but I think there could be a whole session here next time. So we might come back to you, Neil. But we'll get some questions from the floor in 1 second. Rick, what are you excited about for 2023?
I think for us, definitely just continuing to grow the business and get back up to that 1,000 member kind of mark, but not just by bringing on new members. It's also kind of looking after the existing members, retaining them, engaging with them, just making sure they're actually getting the most out of their fitness journey that they can.
Amen to that. Questions from the floor. There was an arm over here. There we go.
Hang on.
Completely lost control.
Let me just get some MIPS while I do it as well. Here we go.
Hi guys, it's a question to 1PT and the training shed. Roughly how many members own a MyZone belt and participate in the MyZone challenges?
Of our members at the moment, John, would you say 50? Yeah, so about a quarter. And I think, not to blame somebody, but our website guy, we've had a few issues with at the moment because we're trying to create our own members login area. And therefore, within the members login area, a lot of the education, and rather than having to send out email after email or automated emails and people getting bombarded with automated emails through the Club Right system, we wanted to just create a nice induction onboarding process where slowly but surely we drip feed what are the benefits. So if we do educate people through our closed Facebook group, what is MyZone? Why is heart rate monitoring useful? So I think the take-up could have been a lot more, but at the moment it's about just under 0.25% of our membership. And within the challenges, probably all of those 50 people do engage. So.
And yeah.
Happy.
Sorry. And yeah, for us in corporate, the uptake of MyZone is brilliant. So again, being funded by the company, every employee is offered a MyZone belt. So our challenges and everything like that, again, because of the engagement and the way we deliver MyZone, most of the employees within the company are on MyZone. So you're looking at hundreds of employees.
Any more questions? Make one up. Oh, 2 hands. There you go.
Thank you. So it's a question for Beckwith. You're talking about eGym, about 75% of members have had an induction. A similar question to the one just asked. How many actually are using eGym? Just interested to know. Great, 3/4 of the members have had that induction. What's your kind of take-up rate and how often are they using it?
Yeah, so usage is about just over 50% of our overall members that are using it on a kind of regular basis. One thing we haven't really tapped into yet is the eGym challenges. It's something we've looked at initially. Hopefully in the coming months we'll start kind of doing more of those because that will really engage the ones that aren't necessarily using it on a regular basis to kind of really just up the game a little bit and kind of have a leaderboard and kind of score chart, etc. But yeah, the kind of regular usage is pretty good at the moment.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. Make it a good one.
Thank you very much. This is it Rick from Beckwith. Rick, just really interested in your youth program that you run in the afternoons. how do you recruit for that? Is that based on the network of existing adult members, or do you do outreach into the community to make people available through schools, etc.? So that's first part, and then second part, ready for the others. Is that something that you would look at potentially in the future as a way of, one, having an impact and extending the impact of your programs, and whether it might be an opportunity for fairly affordable business development?
So in terms of Beckwith and our teen gyms, we've been running the program a couple of years now. We've never done active outreach. We have a couple of schools pretty near the club, and they kind of almost feed into the club. So at the moment, we've got around 50 teenage members. They tend to refer each other because their mates are going, and then they want to go, and so wants to go. So it actually just almost refers itself and kind of ticks along. It's not something that it's just finding the right balance, because you don't want too many because they're in at the same time as the adult members. So it's finding that right balance. So at the moment, the number that we've got, yes, it'd be great to grow a little bit more, but probably not to any kind of length. Great.
Yes and yes. So yes, we've got youth at 15 to 17. I think it's understanding the insurance implications, and we've got quite strict criteria that have been advised through our brokers and insurers, which we're happy to. So we've probably got a small number of youths that have basically come with their parents when their parents have asked. John and I have considered looking at between 11/12 up to 14, 15. Again, there's even more stricter insurance guidance within that. So it's still there as a definite consideration, but I think we've still got an awful lot of other work that we'd like to do in terms of growing the business. And I think one thing that we did do before we introduced under 18s, because we'd always been traditionally under 18s, is we asked our membership base, what would you think if we were to introduce juniors? And there was a number of responses, all very, very positive, but they basically was concerned that it didn't become perhaps like other gyms where their own workouts were disturbed and it became a little bit of just a playground area. They understood we wouldn't be like that, but at least we asked our membership what we thought, because we value their opinion.
One word. Junior wellbeing score. 3 words. But yeah, that's a development of the wellbeing score we're looking to do. And again, the wellbeing score is not something just for the training shed. We want this to be industry-wide. So if it helps other people approach the junior market, then yeah, happy to have conversations about that. But yeah, that would be specific to the right age groups. And again, start those conversations for as many juniors as possible.
Interesting. You've talked a lot about customers. I'm just interested, can you tell us a bit more about how you support your teams to deliver all this excellent work? Because they're kind of the heart of the business.
No, I think it's absolutely valuable that you invest in your teams. I think one of the big things for me was always listening to your team. And I think when we said with 1PT, everyone has a voice. So as a team meeting, if somebody's got an idea, bring it to the table. Don't ever say no. I made a mistake 5-6 years ago. I worked at St George's Park, the National Football Centre, and 3 days we had to before we opened for the first England teams, somebody asked me a question and just went no. And that was the worst thing that I could do. So listen to your teams, support your teams, and the last thing I'm going to say, Guy, is we've got the same staff that we had 5 years ago. Nobody's left. So it's invested your team, yeah.
So part of the training shed and the bigger picture with us is a company called Wellonomics, which really looks at physical well-being, mental well-being, and workplace well-being. So lots more to talk about that. Guy will tell me off if I go into too much detail, but using Wellonomics, which is our app, our platform within our staff, really gets an understanding of how they're feeling, how they're doing individually. So they're just like everyone else, looking after their well-being, making sure they're in a good place, and they can then provide the best service for as many customers as possible.
Just very lastly, I guess in addition to what these guys have said, communicating with the team, making sure they're fully on board with you and the journey that you're going as a business, and then also investing in them, getting them trained up, getting whether it's a new spinning class or level 2 to level 3 PT, making sure that you're investing in them so that they're going to kind of feel that they're really valued.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, Rob was giving me the V sign about 10 minutes ago. I thought it was just, you're doing really well, victory. But I think it was either 2 minutes or 2 questions. That was 10 minutes ago. But Rachel's in charge of timing. So, listen, guys, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing your ideas. I'm sure you've got more questions. I didn't want to stop more questions coming out because that was the idea of this. It's to get a bit of interactivity going so that in the next session you're asking lots of questions. And even after lunch, you're asking lots of questions. So, keep the conversations going, think about these ideas, say a big thanks to these guys for coming up and sharing theirs.